Hey everyone, Decov13 here, and welcome back to some more Let's Play Fate Stay Night. Alright, moving on to day 9 of Unlimited Blade Works today. Let's see what Shiro and Rin come up with, finding this master. So, let's get in there and see what happens. My dear stray dead. Then I see his dream. The memory of the man who was celebrated as a hero. The story of a knight who was not understood by anyone. It is a simple story. At the very heart of the matter, there was something wrong with him. He had a reasonable amount of power and a fair amount of ambition, yet he used his strength in the wrong places from beginning to end, and died a miserable death. It came as a reasonable consequence. Power exists to grant your own wishes. Pity does no good for others. There's a balance because the actions you take come back to you, or so Kirei regularly says. One is fed because their actions circulate to generate more vitality. But not having that means never being replenished. If one lives for someone else instead of oneself, it's obvious they would run out of energy right away. It would be like money if it were disposable. If others use it, there's nothing left for you. It's easy to take advantage of, and it's a given that it'll be used. That's why in the end, he saw many betrayals, and his life was ended by someone he saved. It just makes me mad. I want to know why. He worked hard, made superhuman effort even though he was an ordinary person, and he accomplished a miracle with his own blood. His reward for that was betrayal and death, and though it seems ludicrous, he died satisfied. It's not my place to criticize another's life. It's not my place, but I can't stand that one major point. I've had this dream multiple times now, and that is my belief. Usually I wake up here. Yet, it seems like this morning there's more to this dream. He was standing in that hell. It is a scene of devastation by natural means rather than human hands. I would make a contract. I will serve after death, and in return I would take compensation now. He weaves a spell of contract. Thus he was changed as possessed and saved those who would normally not be saved. Oh, this must be how he became a heroic spirit. From this perspective, it isn't really that great of compensation. He probably saved a number not even in the hundreds. This is barely qualification as a hero with such a small number, and normally it wouldn't count for the level of heroic spirit. Yet the number is irrelevant. The qualification is one who surpasses human bounds and is able to change the fate of those destined to die. Something that appends fate itself. It doesn't matter if he is not powerful like a hero, so long as it was a disaster that could not be avoided, however small, that he changed. No. The world would gain a heroic spirit in turn as compensation for this miracle. He became a hero and saved many lives that could not have been saved. As a result, he became a heroic spirit after he died and now repeats the same things he did in life. As a servant. As a slave. I guess the payment for the miracle is to become a disposable tool in service of others even after death. Heroic spirits. Superior spirits chosen by humanity. Guardian spirits of humanity. But they are not ones with free will like servants. Heroic spirits, guardians of humanity. Guardians do not have free will. They operate merely as sources of power. They are extermination weapons that are only summoned to protect the world when circumstances appear that could destroy it. They are summoned to destroy these circumstances. The servant system is nothing more than a ritual that uses these guardians. Guardians are summoned into any era. After eliminating the threatening circumstances, they disappear. I would hate to be like that, but he must have been determined to take on that role. In fact, he might have even desired it. Nothing made him happier than being able to save people even after he died. Since he didn't have the power to save them when he was alive, he must have believed that he could avert any tragedy once he became a heroic spirit. With that in mind, he readily made a deal with the world to give up his life after death, and saved 100 lives. After that, he believed that he could save tens of thousands more. What an idiot. There's no way that could be possible, because by the time a heroic spirit is summoned, where they appear is already gone to hell. Places where heroic spirits, guardians, appear are only hell. They only appear when the world is about to be destroyed by mankind. Humans are creatures that perish from their own doings. That's why the process of destruction is always the same. Jealousy, hatred, selfishness, desire. The man who loved and tried to be of help to others was shown the same ugliness even after he died. He is summoned to such places and fulfills his responsibilities just as the contract says. He killed. He killed and killed and killed and killed. He killed all the humans where he was summoned to save humanity as a whole. I don't know how many times he repeated it, nor do I have the means to know how many more times he will continue to repeat it. There's only one thing I can say. He has been betrayed by many things. But in the end, he was betrayed by the only thing he believed in. His ideals. When I wake up, I have nothing useful to say. My body feels strangely tired and I can't move from the bed. My mind is the only thing that's clear, and I still blankly stare at the ceiling. I sigh and gaze at the ceiling. This sucks. He could have told me that I might get a glimpse of his memories while I'm sleeping, since masters and servants are connected spiritually. If he told me, I could have cut my consciousness so I wouldn't have to deal with that. I get my body out of bed. My body feels heavy and my eyelids are as heavy as stone. I resent how I'm not a morning person and slowly change from my pajamas to my uniform. I'm not sure whether it makes sense or it was unexpected. He used to be a pretty hot-blooded man back in the day. I don't know what hero he was, but he seemed more honest in the past. I have a brief laugh. My reflection in the mirror looks so serious, like I'm about to cry, so I laugh it off. Otherwise, I won't be able to face Archer at all. I get ready and drink the freshly brewed tea in the living room. I don't usually eat breakfast, so I'm quick. There's 15 minutes until I have to leave for school. This cup of tea is like a ritual I perform every morning to wake my half-asleep body. Yet there's one fool that can't read the room. Thanks, Archer. That again? Archer keeps on suggesting that I cut off my truth to Shiro Emi at every chance he gets. I set my teacup down and look at Archer. Even if it was sarcasm, I can't ignore his implication. The atmosphere freezes. I'm seriously getting pissed, and Archer looks like he has no intention of backing down. We stare each other down. I realized that without you even having to say it. But I can't help it. He hasn't gained anything even though he's a mage, and he's dangerously narrow-minded. There's no use in trying to scheme against such a guy. And besides, he's...
リン、どうした？ようやく自分の愚かさに気づいたか？
そうね。ええ、私はどうか知ってる。けどあーちゃん、それもこれもみんなあんたがつまんないもの見せるからじゃない。
何？
いいわ、忘れて。とにかくあんたが私のサーバントである以上、私は私が信じることしかやらない。私はエミやシローほど甘くはないけど、それでも譲れないものがある。相手が何者であろうと、それを譲る気なんかない。
I can't clamp down on the anger. And that makes me realize I don't feel any sympathy, even after learning about his past. I'm just mad.
ほんと。あーちゃん、返事は？
So I take it out on him as much as I can. The knight in the red coat sighs and assumes what seems to be his favorite pose.
仕方あるまい。主が不調ならば支えるのが進化の役割だからな。君が本調子になるまで陰ながら見守るとしよう。
And he replies with an answer that's neither yes or no. I wake up. I feel heavy, like there's lead inside my head.
なんだろう。ここんとこ目覚めが悪いな。
I don't know if it's because there's a lot to think about or if I'm having a weird dream. Even though I usually don't dream, I feel like I've been experiencing something like a dream recently.
まあ、綺麗な刀だったけどさ。
I often vaguely dream of swords. Among them, his blades appear frequently.
そうだよ。気に入ってるよ。悪いか。
I curse at Archer, who's not even here, and get out of bed. It's before 6 a.m. I can't be getting distracted by strange dreams. I should go prepare breakfast. Saber sees me off as I leave the house. I've gotten used to this lifestyle, and the morning passes by smoothly without anything particular happening. I don't see Tosaka by the school gate. Since the only lead we had, Issei, ended up innocent, I bet she's busy running around gathering information.
人事じゃない。俺も調査しないと。
But the question is how to do that. Tosaka's probably investigating the people at school, so I should investigate the building one more time. Well, it's not like we'll be able to conveniently find out what we didn't know before. I used the break in the first half of lunch to look around school, but I couldn't find any abnormalities.
何か知らんがお疲れ。
He must have finished lunch already, as Issei acknowledges my efforts while reading an old poetry anthology.
サンキュー。飯食うからお茶もらうさ。あれ、急須は？
ああ、こっちだ。しかしな、今日は昆布茶しかないがいいか。
え、なら左右でいいや。俺、どうも昆布茶のドロッとした感じ、ダメだ。
そうかそうか。では明日までに職員室から緑茶でももらってこよう。
I leave a rather cheerful Issei to himself and pour myself water before I sit at the table.
じゃ、いただきます。
I clap my hands together and open my lunch. At the same time, someone knocks on the door.
あれ、一星、お客さん。
ん？こんな時間にか。
Issei slowly goes to the door. The visitor is Mr. Kuzuki, the teacher in charge of the student council. I run into him often. I bet he thinks I let myself into the student council room overly frequently. I quietly eat my ground chicken lunch. He must have nothing to report today, as Issei and Mr. Kuzuki are just chatting. I munch on my food. I work on finishing up.
先生、そろそろ時間ですか。
そうか、邪魔をしたな。言わずとも承知しているだろうが、戸締まりは忘れないように。下校時間も厳守したまえ。
はいはい、 分かってますって。
Mr. Kuzuki leaves and Issei comes back in a rather good mood. Wow, that was a rarity. Soichiro Kuzuki chatting with a student. And with a normally rather shy Issei. Well, they might get along because they're both stubborn, but still odd.
なあ伊勢。
なんだエミヤ。
いや前から疑問に思っていたんだが、お前とクズキ仲いいのか？
Oh, he's surprised.
いや答えられないんならいい。ふとそう思っただけだから気にするな。
ああ、違う違う。そういえばエミヤには言ってなかったな。と気がついてね。仲がいいのは当然なのだ。何しろ久月先生は俺の兄貴分みたいなものだからな。
は？
Mr. Kuzuki is like Issei's big brother?
ちょっと待て、それどういうことだ？
だから兄貴分だって。総一郎。久月先生は3年ほど前からうちに居候をしているんだ。見ての通り朴突な人柄だが、裏表のない誠実な心をしている。同じ屋根の下で暮らしていて、人間として尊敬できるのだ。兄として慕うのは当然だろう。
Well, I guess we found another candidate for Caster's master.
クズキが竜道寺に住んでいる？
I feel like the back of my head has been hit. But I force myself to stay calm on the outside and ask Issei to continue.
そういえば最近見慣れない女がいるって言ったよな。そいつのことクズキは知ってるのか？
知ってるも何も。あの女は久月先生の言い名付けだ。近々祝言を挙げるから、それまで部屋を貸し与えている。
And that would be their cover. A second shock.
一世、そういうの見慣れない女って言わないんじゃないのか？
I try my best to object through dizziness.
見慣れない女は見慣れない女だ。久月先生の言い名付けであろうと、名前も知らない女など、それで十分だろう。
Issei ends the conversation, clearly uncomfortable. Anyways, regardless of the source, this is news I can't ignore. Soichiro Kuzuki commutes from Ryudo Temple, and a woman who is staying at Ryudo Temple. I heard that Mr. Kuzuki's fiancée showed up about a month ago. If that was Castor, then we pretty much have our answer.
と、そういうわけなんだが。
In class after school. There's only 10 minutes until we have to go home, but I tell Tosaka about Mr. Kuzuki.
どうだろう。一世のこともあるし、竜道寺に住んでるからって怪しいと決めつけるのはどうかと思うんだが。
久月先生か。マスターとしての気配っていうより、そもそも魔術師じゃないんだけどな、あの人は。
I don't know if she's even listening to me as she frowns like she's not convinced.
魔術師じゃない？なんだ、よかった。それじゃあとりあえずクズキは除外か。
I mean, Shinji wasn't a mage either.
なんで？そんな怪しいやつ、マスターに決まってるじゃない。
Okay, I guess I'm starting to get used to this. But I still can't keep up with Tosaka's thought process.
今夜にでも仕掛けるわよ。学校に手を回して夜勤になるように仕向けるから。エミヤ君も準備しといて。
ちょっと待て。いくらなんでもそれはなし。クズキを夜勤にするって、それじゃ今夜にでも戦うっていうのかよ。
当然でしょ。クズキが明日も学校に来る保証はないもの。機会は待ったなし。夜まで学校に残らせて、帰り道であいつがマスターかどうか試すのよ。
念のため聞くが、マスターかどうか試すってどうやって？
実力行使。エミヤ君の時と一緒。
Oh, okay. Just attack him. The way she says that sounds oddly honeyed. She really does like pushing people around. Maybe in another lifetime, the two of us fought over a playground's peace as children.
俺は反対だ。試すにしてももっと穏やかな方法がある。わざわざ危険な真似をしなくてもいい。
危険じゃないわよ。私だって見境なしじゃないわ。影から軽いガンドを撃つだけよ。 もし
Oh,
久月
okay.
先生が一般人でも2日風邪で寝込む程度だし。
いや、それも問題だろう。もしクズキが本当にマスターだったらそのまま戦闘になる。こっちから手を出す以上。
わからないわね。それなら余計好都合じゃないの。
Yeah, it's not like we're here to talk with him.
一体何が危ないっていうのよ、エミヤ君は。
そっちこそわからないやつだな。だから遠坂が危ないって話だろ。
Tosaka must have finally realized as she pauses, but only for an instant.
そう。別にいいわよ。それなら私一人でやるだけだもの。
She decides just like that. Damn it, I guess there's no use saying anything to Tosaka when she's made up her mind.
わかった。俺も付き合う。遠坂を一人にしたらどんな無茶をするかわからないからな。
Yeah.
それはこっちのセリフよ。まったく何を言い出すかと思えば。下校時間ね。それじゃあ待ち合わせは午後7時。橋の下の公園。戦闘になるだろうからちゃんと準備してくるのよ。
She looks away and starts walking. I leave the classroom after her.
では今夜キャスターのマスターに仕掛けると。
いや、まだクズキがマスターだって決まったわけじゃないんだが、おおむねそうだ。
I give Saber a detailed account of today's events as soon as I get home. Saber agrees that Tosaka and already seems roused by the prospect.
そういうわけだから今日の鍛錬はなしだ。夕食もすぐに支度するから待ち合わせに備えよう。ですか。そういえば出陣の前に飯食うのって良くないのか。
なぜそのようなことを聞くのです。戦闘時に空腹では問題があると思うのですが。
いや、腹がもたれるのかなって。あと1時間もないし、夕飯は帰ってきてからのがいいんじゃないかなって。
いえ、そのようなことはないと思いますよ。口にしたものを素早く消化するのも戦士の素質です。
Saber, just say you want to eat.
普段から正しい生活と鍛錬をしていれば食事はあまり問題ないかと。
それはつまり夕飯は作って OK ってこと？
はい。そちらの方が大変力が出るのでは。
I say. Well, I've also trained so that I can move right after I eat, so I guess there's no problem. But, well, I'll still make something light just in case.
それじゃあ今に言ってるけど、セイバーは？
シローの邪魔をするわけにはいきません。私はもうしばらく気を整えておきます。
I guess she means to meditate.
了解。飯ができたら呼びに来る。
I leave the dojo. It's completely dark outside. We're meeting at 7 p.m., so that means we'll ambush Mr. Kuzuki an hour after that. If Mr. Kuzuki is a master, then we'll have to fight. Castor is a cautious servant. If she found out that her master was attacked, we won't get another chance. Then we have to make sure that it's fatal if we're going to attack. We can't let the opponent escape, and I don't have the luxury of fleeing ourselves. No matter the opponent, in order to stop Castor from attacking all the people in town, we must defeat her master. If all goes well, we'll take away his command spells and he won't be a master anymore. But if worst comes to worst and we're able to manage that, it'll probably turn into a fight to the death.
そうか。武器の一つも持っていかないとな。
A weapon from here. The easiest thing to pass energy through is probably a wooden sword. My success rate at strengthening has been going up recently, so even a wooden sword would become a good weapon. But that's only the case for a normal fight. I'll need a better weapon to fight against a servant or master.
欲を言えば、あいつの剣みたいに。
I imagine what I saw in my dream. The black and white twin swords. They're a length even I'd feel comfortable using. And ultimately, I'd be able to fight decently enough with them. I could protect myself without being a burden to Saber and be able to proudly say that I'm her master.
たく、ないものねだりをしてもしょうがないだろう、バカ。
I sigh and head to the porch. I'll just do what I can do. For now, I'll put my energy and strength into making dinner. Saber's so serious, but it seems like she looks forward to meals. It has secretly been my joy to make her happy with them. It's 7 p.m. Tosaka came right on time.
お待たせ。必要なものを揃えてたら時間かかっちゃった。で、そっちの準備はどう？
I hand her the practice sword bag. There's a bokuto, a wooden sword inside. This is all the preparation I can do.
まあ、しょうがないか。そもそも白兵戦ならこっちはセイバーがいるんだし、エミヤ君は様子を見ているだけでいいかもね。
そうだな。セイバーがいる以上、俺はセイバーのフォローをするだけだ。
Well, I find it hard to think of a situation where I actually need to watch her back.
リン、なぜアーチャーはいないのですか？
Then, with a sharp look, Saber asks a question.
遠坂、アーチャーを連れてきてないのか？
Yeah, where is Archer?
ええ、あいつなら置いてきた。今夜は奇襲だし、セイバーがいるなら必要ないでしょ。正直なところ、あいつとキャスターを合わせたくないのよ。
Tosaka starts walking. I don't know what she's thinking, but that means we won't have the help of Archer this time. Time passes. We have to cross this intersection to get to Rito Temple from school. It's already taken an hour to set up our territory. The simple bounded field set up by Tosaka.
外から見られるのはアウトだけど、防音だけは完璧よ。ここ一帯ミサイルが落ちても周りには気づかれないわ。
According to Tosaka, the surrounding area is too quiet. It might also be because Tosaka's field is working, but everything feels so lifeless. It's already been 7 days since the Holy Grail War started. It seems like the town's spirit is being slowly stripped away without anyone noticing.
来た。エミヤ君、隠れて。
Oh. I move to the wall. I can't even hear the footsteps. There's a figure beneath the streetlight. A tall and lean physique. That familiar figure is definitely Soichiro Kuzuki. Mr. Kuzuki passes by in front of us with his usual orderly footsteps. He's too defenseless. I'm assaulted with the feeling that Mr. Kuzuki might be innocent.
なあ、遠坂。やっぱりクズキは違うんじゃないのか？
まあ、やってみればはっきりするでしょ。
Tosaka seems to be half in doubt as well. Seems like she's still carrying on with her plan as she points to her index finger towards Mr. Kuzuki. Gander. It is a curse that lowers the target's physical ability, considered to be a simple magecraft. Tosaka's is more like a gunshot instead of a gander, but I'm sure she'll lower the intensity this time.
準備はいい？エミヤ君。
She whispers. There's still time. The possibility that Soichiro Kuzuki is innocent. Isn't there another way other than Gander to check if he's a master or not? No, that's the only option. I clench my teeth to bear my unease. I can only brace myself now. If Mr. Kuzuki is innocent, I just have to remove the curse with all of my might.
仕掛けるわよ。
She takes in a small breath. A black shot is released, followed by the sound of something piercing the air. She must have said something aloud on purpose. The Gander's speed is slow, and the black haze flies towards Kuzuki like a change-up pitch. A wind of disease that will cause him to be bedridden for 2 days. But 2 days of not being able to move would be fatal for a master. There has to be some kind of reaction if Mr. Kuzuki is a master.
やば！
Tosaka moves. Kuzuki doesn't react. Tosaka's gander mercilessly hits Soichiro Kuzuki's head. It is interrupted just before that. A robe suddenly appears in the space between them.
Oh.
The man who was supposed to be hit by the gander looks at us, as if he knew that we were here all along.
遠坂！
I immediately pull the wooden sword out of the bag and put magical energy into it. I don't have the time to be fumbling around with strengthening. Yep. The swirl of cloth in front of Kuzuki now takes shape. Slender limbs appear from the indigo robe. Teleportation. Actual teleportation is considered true magic in this modern world. This dark witch, Castor, uses such a mystic with ease and appears before us.
忠告したはずですよ宗一郎。このようなことになるからあなたは竜道寺にとどまるべきだと。
She must not think anything of us as Castor talks calmly to her master, Kuzuki.
そうでもない。実際に獲物は釣れた。
そうね。あまり大きな魚ではなさそうだけど大量であることは間違いないわ。
So many typos.
さあそこから出てきなさい。バカな魔術師さん。
It'd be difficult to run now. Now, if Castor and her master are in front of us, then all there is to do is fight them, even if this is in the middle of town. But before that...
出てこないの？残念ね。顔ぐらいは見ておきたかったのですけど。
何よあのタヌキ。こっちの素性なんてもう分かってるくせに。
Tosaka curses in her hiding spot. She must have heard that.
3秒あげるわお嬢さん。それであなたがしたことをそのまま返してあげましょう。
Castor says cheerfully and points her hand toward us. The absurdity of what she did before returns to my mind. She's not that naive. I'm sure she would destroy this whole area along with the wall that we're hiding behind.
エミヤ君、合図をしたら飛んで。セイバー、準備はいい？
I sense her nodding behind me. But there's something that I need to confirm before that.
すまん。それは後にしてくれ、父さん。
え？
I don't wait for her reply. I go out into the intersection from the shelter, wooden sword in hand.
シロ！
Tosaka must not have it in her to leave me alone in this and follows me out.
あら、意外ね。少しは物分かりが良くなったのかしら、坊や。
Castor watches us calmly. Kuzuki stands next to her. The distance between us is about 10 meters. No matter how I think about it, Castor's fingertips would be much faster than me running to them. With full knowledge of the situation, I step forward. I have to do something before we fight. That is...
遠坂とエミヤか。マトウだけではなく、お前たちまでマスターとはな。魔術師とはいえ、因果な人生だ。
to confirm the identity of Soichiro Kuzuki as the one Castor is protecting.
どうしたエミヤ？話があるのではないのか？
He asks in his usual manner. I don't feel the presence of a mage from Mr. Kuzuki. No, I don't even feel a desire for victory in this so-called war. Then...
クズキ、あんた、キャスターに操られてるのか？
It's possible that Mr. Kuzuki is being manipulated by Castor like Archer said. Until I get this cleared up, I just can't fight him. I can feel Castor's desire to kill me. That alone tells me that question is off limits for her.
うるさい坊や。殺してしまおうかしら。
Yet her words are not quite a threat. However...
待て。その質問の出所は何だ、エミヤ。
Mr. Kuzuki stops her in his usual manner.
疑問には理由があるはずだ。言ってみるがいい。
My throat is dry. It must be Castor's murderous glare. The woman in the indigo robe tells me without words that she'll kill me if I say something wrong. I bear it, and...
あんたがどうやってマスターになったかは知らない。けど、あんたはまともな人間だろ。なら、キャスターがやっていることを見逃しているはずがない。だっていうのに見逃してるってことは、あんたは知らないんじゃないかって思っただけだ。
I glare back at Castor.
キャスターがやっていることだと？
ああ、そいつは竜道寺に巣を張って町中の人間から魔力を集めてる。ここ最近連続している混成事件は全部そいつの仕業だ。今までもそしてこれからも犠牲者は増え続ける。キャスターが魔力を吸い上げ続ける限りいずれ死んじまう人間だって出てくるだろう。そいつは 町の人間は生贄だって言った。取り返しのつかないことになるのはそう先のことじゃない。
なるほど、そういうことか。通常善良な人間ならばキャスターを放置できない。にもかかわらずマスターである私がキャスターを放置しているのは彼女に操られているからだと考えたわけだな。
ああ、もしあんたがキャスターの行為を知っていて放っておいているなら、あんたはただの殺人鬼だ。俺も容赦はしない。けどあんたが操られているんなら別だ。俺たちはキャスターだけを倒す。
いや、今の話は初耳だ。
Huh. His statement leaves no room for interpretation. He doesn't seem to be lying either. Soichiro Kuzuki is the same when he lectures at school. Phew. Though relieved, I still keep my guard up against Castor. Mr. Kuzuki is also a victim if he's being manipulated. So all that's left is to defeat Castor.
だがエミヤ、キャスターの行いはそう悪いものなのか？
And yet still, Soichiro Kuzuki says this as well.
なんだって。
他人が何人死のうが私には関わりのないことだ。
Well then.
加えてキャスターは命までは取っていない。まったく随分と半端なことをしているのだな、キャスター。そこまでするのなら一息で根こそぎ奪った方が良いだろうに。
Oh, seems like you were giving Kuzuki a bit too much credit there, Emiya. The way he says it is no different than usual. He gives his honest opinion. Soichiro Kuzuki is the same as when he lectures at school.
無関係の人間を巻き込むつもりか。
全ての人間は無関係だが、まあ私が何者であるかはそちらで言い当てただろう。私は魔術師などではない。ただのそこいらにいる朽ち果てた殺人鬼だよ。
Well then. Kuzuki takes a step back. He watches us from behind Castor.
キャスターの傀儡というのは当たっているがな。私は聖杯戦争など知らん。キャスターが殺し、お前たちが殺し合うというのなら傍観するだけだ。もっとも私も自分の命が一番可愛い。キャスターが何を企もうと知らぬ。私はただ私を阻む者を殺すだけだ。では好きにしろキャスター。生かすも殺すもお前の自由だ。
Man, he's really a cold-hearted piece of shit, huh? Castor stands in front of us, smiling in victory.
ああ、もうとんだ狸同士じゃないあいつら。
Tosaka clicks her tongue and doesn't move. Or rather, she can't move. In terms of skill as a mage, we aren't a match for Castor, even put together. For masters who claim to be mages, an opponent like Castor far exceeds what we're capable of.
そうか。ではここで死しても構わんのだな。キャスターのマスターよ。
A voice behind me. Before I can turn around, the Knight of the Sword, the Servant Saber, dashes forward.
セイバー。
My voice can't even keep up. Saber, already clad in silver, charges toward Kuzuki like a gust of wind.
お待ちなさいセイバー。
Castor confronts her with a spell. She recites 5 verses. If Saber's a gust of wind for completing 10 meters in a breath, then Castor must be lightning for casting a spell even faster. A bolt of lightning from a raging storm. 5 bullets of light are shot in less than a second and stab at Saber like fatal thorns.
大魔力。
Yeah, magic resistance.
私の魔術を防ぎきる騎士など知らない。
Castor screams. Even Archer had to dodge Castor's spell, but Saber's nullifying it just by glaring at it. Yet her focus is not Castor. Her target, the opponent that she must slash, is none other than the master, Soichiro Kuzuki. Saber slashes Kuzuki without hesitation.
宗一郎様。
Silence returns to the intersection. Saber's frozen after slashing her sword. Everyone here assumes the match is decided because of how quick the attack was. Yes. Everyone except Soichiro Kuzuki, who stands there calmly. Oh boy. What do you mean interlude now? Come on. Charge. Halt. Attack. Having repelled all of Castor's divine words, Saber concluded the match without any opening for a counterattack. The speed at which she charges, the force of her planted feet, and the horizontal line her sword draws brings an unavoidable strike. She swings her invisible sword at the enemy master. A perfectly timed attack. With a slash so satisfying that it would sever a large tree, Saber splits Soichiro Kuzuki in twain. No. It should have split him in two. She gasps in bewilderment. Her eyes must have been playing tricks. Saber stares at the enemy before her in astonishment, still mid-swing. Comprehension eludes her. The fatal attack cut a perfect line. That attack is stopped. Just shy of the enemy's body, the sword was caught between... What the fuck? Is such a miracle possible? Her sword has been stopped by her enemy, Soichiro Kuzuki. Between raised knee and cocked elbow. The man stopped her high-speed slash by catching it in between his elbow and knee. Of course she is unaware. There is an Eastern martial arts technique that is used to catch an opponent's weapon with one's bare hands, and there are experts today who still practice it. Even then, she wouldn't have stood there with naked amazement had it been a normal battle. But this is a servant battle, and the enemy is just a human. But to stop a fatal attack from a sword blade that cannot be seen with his bare hands, there's no way this man could possibly be sane. What in the fuck is this guy? His voice is deep, as if echoing from the depths of the earth. Saber's body moves. She tries to pull back her sword with all her might. And in that instant, a sudden surprise blow strikes the back of her head. She doesn't understand what's going on at all. It is her first time fighting someone who can stop a sword without any arms or armor at all. Wait, was that attack done by his bare hands as well? She must have been punched. The back of her head was struck at such close range she could feel her opponent's very breath. She avoids it without knowing what it is. Something grazes her temple. Saber perceives that it is a fist strengthened by some kind of magecraft and leaps back. As she wields a long weapon, she is at a disadvantage at close range against an unarmed opponent. Saber retreats to a range where she can make use of her sword. She faces the enemy the entire time. Her only goal is to move out of the range advantageous to her opponent. It is a basic established tactic to pursue a retreating target, but he does not give chase. Though he will be defeated if he remains stationary, Castor's master does not move. He strikes her at the solar plexus. The wind is knocked out of her. She feels the impact. The attack is hindered by her armor, which keeps the blow from piercing her body. The impacts continue. They are nothing more than human fists that precisely target her vital areas. Could she even comprehend in time? By the time she realized that those stone-like fingers were the cause of impact, the match had already been decided. The rain of fists repeat. His fists are fired in rapid succession, with an intensity and weight as if they are made of divine iron. How can it be explained? His arms are flexible like a whip, but only move at right angles. If his arms are shot out in a flash, the way his forearms follow are the technique of a demon. The barely perceptible blows target all of her vitals. He allows no counterattack. Even her arms are targeted, and that pain reaches her core even through her armor. The attacks all come from the outside and shift inside. A wide swing of the arm changes direction using the elbow as the fulcrum, attacking Saber from all directions. The attacks are keen and cause dulling. Though not an instant death, each blow contributes to a slow-acting poison. That is the death that seeps in with each blow. Each blow cannot be avoided, and each strike alone is not enough to maim. But the pain numbs her mind each time. And with the opening from that, his fist seeks the back of her head once again, like the curling cull of Death's scythe. Intuition allows her to avoid it. The attacks going for her arms or chest are fine, but if the back of her head is struck, she's done for. And so Saber concentrates her muddied mind on that one blow. He's a beast that can block her sword empty-handed. Intuition alone gives her the insight necessary to face this unknown style that she has never faced the likes of.
よくかわす。まだ混乱しているというのにな。
The enemy's arm stops. His stance is like his fists, firm like rock.
なるほど。目がいいのではなく、勘がいいということか。
The man's body moves. What was different about this attack? Saber, able to avoid all fatal blows up until this point, could not evade the next blow. Her consciousness fades. The impact landing on the back of her head shakes her brain. Even then, she raises both arms. The man's attack cannot penetrate her armor. Then, the man will go for her unprotected face. Saber raises both arms and protects her own face. The impact weaves past her limbs. It is like a snake that crawls through a dense forest. The enemy's fist expertly makes its way through her upraised arms. Her consciousness drifts. The body of the metaphorical snake, his left elbow, hammers into her collarbone. Saber avoids it by retreating a short distance and adjusts the grip on her sword. The course of the fist after that. She prepares for the blow coming from the left hand that will change direction at the elbow and aim at the back of her head. She cannot afford to make light of him. If her opponent demands her consciousness, then so be it. In return, she will claim his arms. She opens her eyes and is astonished by the change. Using his elbow as the fulcrum, the blow comes straight down from above. The circular orbit of attacks up until now changed to a straight line. She immediately moves her neck to avoid the blow going for the top of her head. The impact falls on her shoulder. As she glares at the enemy for wrecking her shoulder, a freezing sensation shoots down her spine. The man cocks his upper body. His right arm, still this entire time, finally moves. At the height of her throat, his armor is released like a cannonball. Unlike the previous attack falling in downward line, this jab comes straight in like a thrust. His fist flies at Saber. With such force and precision, it will skewer her. The blow comes with all of his might and will easily pierce her throat, sever bone, and rip her head off. But it misses. Surprise attacks don't work on her. Intuition like seeing the future is hers to command. The snake's fist grazes past her neck. Seeing that, she steps in to attack, but at that moment, right beside her neck, an unbelievable sound. The snake's fang pierces her. The instant Saber avoids his fist, his fingers grab her with a sickening crunch.
Anka!
The astonishment passed through her as a shudder. Yes, a hand is usually needed something to grab, not punch. Is usually something used to grab, not punch. He must be receiving aid from Castor's magecraft, as his fingers easily crush Saber's neck. Saber raises her sword. She swings to cut off the enemy's arm before her neck is crushed. But she is unable to finish her attack. Before she can bring her sword down, her entire body is swung like a sword in his hands. She feels herself fly through the air. He swings like a baseball pitcher. While still holding Saber's neck, the man throws her with one arm. A fastball using a person in place of a ball. There's no way she can break her fall. He tears away at her neck as he throws. She then smashes against a concrete wall at 200 kilometers per hour. Her body is forced to shut down. Holy shit. So we very much underestimated Kuzuki. Fuck. Everyone watches in astonishment. It's not just me and Tosaka. Even Castor, who ought to have been thrilled by a turn in her favor, stares at her own master in wonder. Saber's swift attack to Kuzuki's counterattack. From the nightmare-like neck grab to the impressive throw was all incredible, even to the losing side. Saber doesn't move. She was thrown by her neck and smashed back first into the wall. Her neck injury must be fatal. On top of that, she hit the wall at a speed that was clearly meant to finish her. I don't think it killed her, but I'm sure she can't move. At the least, she'll be laying on the ground until the wounds on her neck and bruises all over her body heal. I murmur without realizing. Even though his fists were strengthened by Castor's magecraft, Kuzuki's body is still human. Who would think that he would be able to overwhelm a servant in melee combat?
マスターの役割は後方支援などと決めつけるのはいいがな。
The lean figure turns.
例外は常に存在する。私のように前に出るしか能のないマスターもいるということだ。
He just proved that to us just now. Therefore, these two are. Their fighting roles as master and servant are completely swapped.
何をしているキャスター。事前に言っておいただろう。後方支援をするのなら敵の飛び道具は始末しておけと。
The enemy. Kuzuki stares at Tosaka. Saber is less of a threat to him than Tosaka, who can attack at a distance. So Kuzuki is wary of targeting us. He feels that mages ought to battle other mages.
どうしたキャスター。好きにしていいと言ったが。
いえ、セイバーには私が手を下します。宗一郎、あなたは残ったマスターを。
He nods silently and walks towards us. That's not good. Behind him, Castor faces the collapsed Saber.
ちょっとセイバーは面食らってやられたけど、あいつのネタは分かってる。要は近づかれる前に倒せばいいんでしょ。
Tosaka slowly retreats, glaring at Kuzuki. A fight between a mage and a warrior is a fight for distance. No matter how many monstrous fighting techniques he may have, Kuzuki has no magic resistance. We can win if we can land a hit at range. Victory is ours if we can manage to cast a spell before he reaches us. Kuzuki faces Tosaka and doesn't move. Castor walks towards the wall that Saber was thrown at. That action is a mistake. There's an opening I can take advantage of, so I'll protect Tosaka. I'll protect Tosaka. Saber isn't dead yet. Even if Kuzuki was an unexpected monster, Saber still hasn't lost yet. On top of that, Castor shouldn't be able to finish Saber off. I tighten my grip on the Bokuto in my hand. My eyes lock on Kuzuki to not miss even a blink. The moment he turns toward Tosaka, I'll move between them. Knowing Tosaka, I'm sure she's going to leap to the side and shoot Kuzuki. Uh-oh. There was no time to take action. It was in an instant. The moment I thought Kuzuki's body wavered, he was in front of Tosaka. Tosaka's astonished, but she immediately points her hand at Kuzuki. And the right hand of the enemy, the hand that wrecked Saber's neck, strikes her in the chest. Time seems to stop. All of the air in Tosaka's lungs goes out from that one blow. This is it. If a mage can't breathe, they can't cast a spell incantation or carry out most of their abilities. Though as she just barely managed to leap back, it seems she only had the wind knocked out of her. But the next attack. Even though she jumped back, it was only a meter or so. Such a distance is inconsequential to someone like Kuzuki. I move in between them. Using my wooden sword as a shield, I plant myself between attacker and prey. He thrusts his fist. I can't even see it? How did Saber dodge something like this? I desperately protect my left side. A heavy striking sound follows, along with the sound of my sword snapping. I see Kuzuki coming with his next attack. I'm going to die. Instinctively, I know it's coming. The strengthened wooden sword was the same as steel. If he can destroy that with one blow, then he can destroy my body no matter where he hits me. I can't stop him. Tosaka is coughing painfully behind me. I can't see his attacks, and my only weapon was destroyed. His fist aims precisely for my temple. Shiro Emiya will die from that hammer-like blow. I'll die if I don't stop it. A weapon. I'm no match for him. I need a strong weapon to make up for the difference in our strength. It closes in on my brain. I imagine myself dying. No, if that happens, I'll end up dead if I can't stop it. A weapon. I need a weapon. A weapon that won't get destroyed by him. Not a wooden sword taken in haste, but a proven strong weapon. An extraordinary weapon beyond my ken. Yeah, like the ones he uses.
Torres. Oh.
Then I'll make them. I'll make them even if it's impossible. I'll make them at any cost. Strengthening and reproducing. Something that does exist and something that doesn't. I'll force myself to believe they're exactly the same. I don't have time. I can't overthink it. Fake it no matter what. I don't care if I break or lose something in the process. Faster. I don't care if it's a fake. Hurry. Forget it all. I'm not the only life at stake here. If I don't hurry, if I can't stop it, Tosaka will... A sight beyond hope. Tosaka speaks for me. A muffled voice. Was that Kuzuki? Something might have happened to my ears. I can't hear properly. No, not just my ears, but the sensation in my limbs is numb. Only my right eye is functioning adequately. I see Kuzuki's approaching fist. It's like watching someone else block it. My arms feel hollow. I don't have any sensation in them, but I swear I can hear my nerves fraying. His twin swords are in my hands. The Yang Kansho and Yin Bakuya. The name of the swords. Even though they were reproduced haphazardly, the swords still present themselves to their owner. But I'm sorry. I can't project you perfectly with my skills. We spring apart. The twin swords that parried 30 strikes shatter, as if to say they can't take any more. It's not because they lost to Kuzuki's fists. The twin swords disappeared because I couldn't maintain my image of them. The twin swords must have been unexpected as Kuzuki shows hesitation for the first time. Then, a strong wind stirs up in the intersection.
Saber!
I look toward the wall. Saber must have recovered as she stands. Castor in front of her rapidly steps back. Yes, that's why it was a mistake. Just because she was defeated, it didn't mean that she lost her powers, so there's no way Saber, with strong magic resistance, could be cornered by Castor. It's Kuzuki's role to finish Saber off. Despite that, Castor made a mistake. She seemed to be planning something, but that excessiveness cost her the chance of victory. Kuzuki retreats. He stands protective of Castor as a ward against Saber.
ここまでだ。行くぞ、キャスター。
He makes an apt decision.
マスター。いいえ、セイバーは手負いです。あなたなら先ほどのように。
二度通じる相手ではない。侮ったのは私の方だったな。あと一芸手を凝らすべきだった。
Kuzuki is correct. Saber was cornered because Kuzuki's attacks were unnatural. But that was before. I wouldn't be able to deal with them no matter how many times I saw them. But Saber is already used to them. Tactics are supposed to be unknown to an opponent. Kuzuki's attacks are powerful, but since they're so unique, their exposure renders future attacks followable. The first strike must be fatal. The difference between skills that have been polished to an art form and a single move that has been trained to the utmost limits.
わかりましたわ、宗一郎。ええ、サーバントである以上、 マスターの命令には従わないといけませんものね。
Who was that directed to? She spits in disgust and flutters her robe dramatically. There's nothing after that. After the indigo robe wraps around Kuzuki's body, they vanish from the intersection like magic.
やられた。いくらなんでもこうなったらクズキは竜道寺から降りてこな
Yeah,
い。
he's pretty much just gonna hole up in there for the rest of the war, huh? After Castor and Kuzuki disappear, without concern over her wounded chest, Tosaka grits her teeth in regret. I understand how Tosaka feels. At this point, Kuzuki won't come out of the temple. If we are to defeat Castor, we're going to have to take the fight to them this time, and make an attack on their territory. But Assassin is the gatekeeper of the temple, and Kuzuki and Castor are not opponents that can be defeated easily. We'll be defeated again if we just attack recklessly. Yet we have no other choice but to go to the temple if we want to defeat Castor.
リン、忠告しますが、あの寺はサーバントにとって鬼門です。アーチャーを動員したところで、力押しでは勝機は薄い。
Yeah.
私だってあの山がどれぐらい変かぐらい分かってる。悔しいからってすぐに追いかけたりしないし、あなたのマスターを強攻策になんか巻き込まないわ。
では、キャスターを撃つのは諦めると。
冗談。やられっぱなしは性に合わないし、何よりキャスターは放っておけない。そのあたり、あなたのマスターも同意見だと思うけど。
She turns her gaze toward May. Saber follows Tosaka's lead and looks to me as if there's any question.
当たり前だ。いつまでもあの二人を放ってはおけない。キャスターは魔力集めをやめないだろうし、マスターであるクズキも止めないと言った。なら二人を倒すだけだ。竜道寺にはアサシンもいるようだけど、キャスターのマスターであるクズキを倒せばことは済む。
そうね。クズキ先生がおとなしくレイジを消させてくれるとは思えないけど、とにかく取り押さえればなんとかなる。当面はこっちも作戦を立てるしかないわけだけど。
Then, I don't know why, but Tosaka suddenly...
それよりエミヤ君、さっきのは何？あなたの魔術って強化だけじゃなかったの？
Oh, apparently you can do projection too. She asks with a serious expression, as if watching an enemy. I'm at a loss. The mage crept from earlier. Is she asking about reproducing archer's swords? Well, I'm also surprised that I can do that, but it's not something that ought to earn me that look.
黙ってないで答えなさいよ。前に言ったわよね。俺が使える魔術は強化だけだって。
いや、そうだけど、初めにできたのが東映で、そっちは効率が悪いから強化にしろって教えられたんだ。
I don't think you did tell her that part, buddy.
こんなの言わなかったか、俺。
言ってない。頭にくるぐらい聞いてない。
Her glare intensifies. I really don't get why she's so angry with me.
じゃあ聞くけど、あなた東映魔術は今回が初めてじゃないのね。
ああ、そうなるかな。強化の鍛錬に失敗した時、仕切り直すためによくやってた。でもさっきみたいに役に立つものを投影できるわけじゃない。
So you can use projection easier than strengthening.
なんていうか、外見は似せられるけど中身は空っぽだったんだ。
中身は空っぽ？何？外観だけしか複製しないってこと？
いや、ちゃんと中身も考えてはいるんだけど、うまくいかなかった。だから自分でも驚いてる。イメージしたものは本物には及ばないんだけど、さっきのは真に迫ってたからな。
じゃあエミヤ君、あなたは強化より先に投影を習得したってこと？
習得っていうよりそれしかできなかったんだって。親父はそれじゃ何の役にも立たないから目先を変えて強化にしろって。
そうね。私でもきっとそうさせたわ。でもおかしな話よね。アーチャーの剣をあれだけ長時間複製できるくせに普通のものは投影できない。属性が限られているのかな。汎用性はないけど ある事柄に関してのみ優れた魔術師ってのもいるし。
She starts thinking out loud. Tosaka doesn't try to look at me.
とりあえず今日は帰りましょう。セイバーも自己回復に魔力を使ったようだし、休ませてあげないと。
And she goes home by herself just like that. There's no one at home. The hallway is dead silent. My ears might still be screwed up as I can't hear my own footsteps. The numbness in my limbs won't go away, and I don't feel the ground under my feet. Surprised that I can walk in this condition, I head straight to my room without conversation.
Today's 鍛錬はなしにしよう。セイバーも疲れてるだろ。あんなひどい傷を負ったんだしさ。
Saber follows me to my room.
いいえ、私の方は問題ありません。回復のために魔力を消費しましたが、まだ十分に補えるレベルです。それよりシロ、あなたの方こそ体に異常はないのですか？
いや別に大丈夫だぞ。まだ手足が重いけど筋肉痛みたいなものだし、明日になれば楽になってるさ。
I've been noticing there's this sound going on. What exactly is that, Shiro?
わかりました。ですが、もし体が痛むようでしたら声をかけてください。
セイバーこそ何かあったら起こしてくれ。夜分に腹が減ったんなら夜食でも何でも作る。
I can't provide Saber with magical energy, so the only thing I can do is make her food to cheer her up.
シロ、くれぐれも無理はしないように。
She heads to the room next to mine.
そうだな。おとなしく寝るか。
I make my bed and lie down. My limbs still feel numb. It might be a side effect of magecraft that I'm not used to, but I feel ready to pass out.
なんだ。本当に。
I'm actually tired. The ringing in my ears bothers me, but it seems like I'll be able to sleep well for the first time in a while. I claw at my futon. It feels like molten steel is coming up from my throat. Every muscle and bone in my body is screwed. A grinding sound echoes in my numb ears. The sound of creaking bones comes from within me. What is wrong with them? The bones in my limbs are splitting in complaint and my ribs are squirming as if trying to burst through my chest muscles. Agony runs through my entire body. My body feels like it's being crushed by a massive vice from without, but the pain comes from within. I'm being crushed. I'm being pulled apart. On top of my bed, I squirm like a bug and try to bear the anguish. My forehead is hot. My brain must not be able to bear this pain. It burns like a sauna. I no longer care if this is compensation for using magecraft beyond me, or if this is the abnormality that Saber warned me about. But for some reason, I don't want to call Saber for help. I don't want to worry her over something like this. I have to handle it myself. I desperately suppress every groan as I sweat profusely. The clock that I look over at absently is not even at midnight. It would be easier if I just go to sleep, but I'm sure this pain will wake me up even if I do so. I'm going into a daze. My consciousness is fading away. The pain should go away once the sun comes up. But until then, The fact that I have to bear this pain for 7 more hours is like a nightmare. Oh, another interlude. To get some water, but I'm all out. Such a place was not pleasant. Frustration and delusion, envy and jealousy. This place, permeated with Stygian emotions, is cursed. It should have been his, yet it was never used for him.
陰気臭いんだよここ。
He clicks his tongue, but this is all his delusion. A stranger's child spent a few years here and threatened the Mato lineage for the longest time. That's the only past he knows. His father never told him anything, but his grandfather let slip what happened here. His father did not choose him and thought of ending the Mato bloodline, but his grandfather wished for his lineage to continue. So he has no regard for his father, the one that brought him into being and taught him failure, while his grandfather brought him privilege and taught him superiority. Shinji laughs, wondering what his mother had given him. First of all, women are not needed in the Mato household. He heard that his mother was a carrier, but she must have become useless after she gave birth. Something of his mother probably remained in this room, but he has no intention of searching for such a thing. He does not even want to see the organism that gave birth to his inferior self. The basement is filled with decay. Strange insects cover the floor in the depths of the darkness. There should be no more nutrients to claim, but the insects still nest in this underground training area. No. From the beginning, this is not a place to raise humans, but a place to raise insects. Swarms with black wings can be glimpsed in the black. Even the shadows on the walls must be dark, slimy insects. In the midst of that, there is a man that gives off a golden shine, incongruous of it in this lowest of places.
なんだアーチャー。ここにいたのかい？
The golden man Archer does not even look at the person who came down and just stares into the deep.
聞けよ。朗報だぜ。琴峰のやつ、僕らの行動には目をつむるってさ。見どころがあるやつだって思ってたけど、本当に使えるよなあいつ。要するにさ、僕たちが何をやったってお咎めなしってことだろそれ。
His voice is full of delight as he makes his way to Archer. Archer finally notices. The red eyes move.
いや、別に文句を言いに来たわけじゃない。君がどこで何をしていようと構わないさ。サーバントの自由意志ぐらい尊重するよ。僕は他の連中と違って猟犬が広いからね。
Shinji is overpowered by his red eyes, but he still approaches Archer. Even if Archer has an ominous presence, he is only a servant. Therefore, he maintains his arrogance. He shows deference, but still makes known who stands superior.
そうか。琴峰は随分とお前を買っているようだな。
ああ、何でもじいさんには借りがあるんだって。得体の知れない三流枚寿司が残るより、僕のように歴史のある血筋が勝利すべきとか言ってたな。そんなの当然じゃないか。何を今更って気はするけど、まあ人を見る目だけはあるよ。一応世話になったしさ。聖杯を手に入れたら例の一つでもやろうかって思案中。
His joyful snicker echoes.
それじゃあ始めようかアーチャー。もう人目を気にする必要もないんだ。手っ取り早く殺しまくってさ、じゃんじゃん魂を食べて強くなってよ。そうしたら次はあいつらだ。目障りなセイバーを潰してエミヤにお礼参りをしないとね。
He pats Archer on the shoulder. Archer watches his hand as if he'd been touched by something unpleasant.
何？ほら、行くって言ってるんだよアーチャー。どこの英雄だろうが、サーバントってのはマスターの命令には絶対服従なんだろ。
He must have imagined making Saber submit to him and having his friend crawl on the ground. He makes his orders with high spirits. But the golden man doesn't move.
シンジ、お前は聖杯というものを理解していない。
He calls his master by his name for the first time.
聖杯が欲しいのなら他のマスターなど放っておけ。連中は所詮生贄に過ぎる。 真に聖杯を手にするというのなら、先に抑えておくべきものがある。
先に抑えておくべきもの。
The boy, Shinji Mato, looks at his servant timidly. His feet shuffle back unconsciously, and the hand that was on Archer's shoulder is no longer there.
まずはそれを手に入れようか。俺は聖杯を手に入れるためにお前に力を
The
貸す。
vessel, he means.
我らにとって共通の目的は聖杯だけだからな。ま、お前の気持ちはわからんでもないが、復讐は気持ちがいい。快楽を求めるのは人の証だ。するべきことを済ませたのなら、お前の遊びにも付き合おう。
Yet amused with himself, Archer's lips curl into a smile. Sensing something brutal in it, Shinji finally feels some uneasiness about this servant's identity. The eighth servant. The heroic spirit that should not exist. The king of heroes. The strongest of them all. A survivor of the previous Holy Grail War.
そういえば聞いてなかったね。
Shinji attempts to maintain his feeling of superiority.
なんだ、聞けば答えるぞ、マスター。
お前の望み、聖杯を手に入れたらさ、お前はどうしたいんだ、アーチャー。
It's a natural question. A half-immortal heroic spirit said to have owned all the treasures in the world. What could this man possibly desire now?
なんだ、そんなことも知らなかったのか。
Archer asks, surprised. He breaks into another smile from this new development.
我は豪勢なものを許す。装飾カビなど最もめでるべきものだ。だが
余分なもの。
昔の話なのだがな。10人の奴隷を選び、その中でいなくとも良いものを殺そうとしたことがある。どう？
はあ？みんな奴隷なんだろう。なら全員殺したんじゃないの？
いやいや、それがな、一人も殺せなかった。いかな人足とはいえ、無駄なものなどいなかったのだ。かつての世界。
Archer shrugs his shoulders at the irony and steps forward. Into the deep. He lifts his leg over the floor veiled in shadow.
だが、この世界には余分が溢れている。10人どころか1000人という人間を選んだところで、殺せない人間など出てきまい。まったく恐ろしく人間に優しい世界になったものだ。
わけわかんないな。結局何が欲しいんだよ、アーチャー。お前だって欲しいものがあるから聖杯を手に入れようって言うんだろ。なら
Archer doesn't answer. The golden man doesn't even turn to face the boy.
簡単な話だ。多いということはそれだけで気色が悪い。
He lowers his foot into the deep darkness. A crunching sound. Crushed insects dot the dark floor, and more still swarm their corpses. That's fucking creepy. Okay, we'll end things off here, and in the next episode, I really don't know what we're gonna get up to. So I guess we'll find out when we do it. So, I'll see you all then. Bye.